Merry Christmas, or Happy Holidays, or Happy New Year if you're watching this video in the new year. If you're celebrating a holiday right now, or about to celebrate one, or just finished celebrating one, I just want to say I hope that it is a happy one, or was a happy one. And I also want to thank you guys for participating in this channel in 2019, whether it was simply watching this video or the one before it, or maybe you subscribed, liked, or commented. I just want to say thank you to you all for all your participation in this channel and in what I'm doing here in 2019. I had fun kind of making these 20, 30, 40 videos for you guys in 2019. I kind of created this channel really as a creative outlet for me to talk about travel, but to kind of also do so in a creative way. And I hope it was enjoyable for you all, because it certainly was for me. And because we're about to jump into 2020, I thought I'd make some predictions about what I expect to see or what I expect to happen in the travel industry space in 2020. Hey everyone, this is Ben with ExploreInformed. We dig into the details of travel so that the next time you go exploring, you can go better informed. If you've been enjoying these videos and you've never subscribed, feel free to hit the subscribe button down over here. You will see more of these videos in your feed in the future, and that will also help me to grow this channel. And if you have not subscribed, but you get to the end of this video and you enjoyed it, maybe you can subscribe at the end of the video. So I'm going to make a series of predictions about 2020, and I am not a travel industry expert. I don't work in the travel industry. I don't write about the travel industry. I'm not a travel subject matter expert necessarily. I'm just kind of a fan and someone who likes to talk about it. So these predictions may seem kind of crazy, or maybe they seem great. I just wanted to note that before we jump in, because I don't necessarily have, quantitative or qualitative evidence that these things are going to happen or not going to happen. They're kind of just my casual observations about the industry as we move into a new year. Okay, so 7 predictions about 2020. I should have done like 20 predictions about 2020, but that would probably be too many. So prediction number 1, I think United and American Airlines are going to continue to tighten their grip on their loyalty customers. Recently, we've seen the increase in dynamic award pricing, both from United and American. Those airlines, again, are trying to tighten their grip on kind of what kind of value we get out of our loyalty to the airline. If an airline has issued you these miles and points to say thank you for flying with us, and then they change the rules and make them a little bit less valuable when it's time to redeem them, that's just generally not a good trend. But I unfortunately think that is going to continue in 2020. I can maybe lump Delta into that bucket too, but at least from the people I hear who fly Delta a lot, they seem to really like it and enjoy it, or at least find it a much better customer experience than United or American. But the reason I mention this is because, when airlines face these internal and external pressures, it seems like some of them just really struggle to kind of keep the customer out of it. Somehow we get pulled into the conversation and there's some kind of negative impact for us. Like, for example, say an airline is facing additional pressure to make more money from their shareholders, which they're always facing. So they add a bunch of fees, or add a fee or two, or change some rules. Airlines are doing that to react to an important stakeholder of theirs, but customers are an important stakeholder too. And some of these airlines are just better than others at kind of making these changes and kind of going with the flow and avoiding disturbances or disruptions to their customers. And I don't think United and American are just as good at that as some of the others. And they're also big airlines, and maybe it's hard to turn a ship that's that large. But it's just, I don't know, I feel like we've seen some negative trends, at least in terms of how airlines are rewarding loyalty, and I think those trends are going to continue. These airlines are also facing a lot of external pressures, like the issues with the Boeing 737. United's going to have a new CEO in the middle of next year, as Oscar Munoz is stepping down and Scott Kirby's taking over. So there's just kind of a lot going on. Again, I just feel like United and CEO aren't as good about isolating the customer and kind of keeping us out of the fray. So I think some of these trends we've seen that have impacted us as frequent flyers or customers negatively are going to continue in 2020. Second, I think Virgin Voyage is going to really shake up the cruise market in 2020. Virgin isn't going to shake things up in terms of making more money than anybody else, having more customers. They can't do that. They're going to have one ship in 2020, I think. But I think their product and their offering is going to shake things up. Virgin's first cruises started in March or April, and I'm really excited to find out what the experience is like. I'm not traveling on them, I'm just saying. I'm excited to find out what the experience is like and kind of whether the product or offering they have put together competes with the big dogs, Norwegian, Royal, and Carnival. And my prediction, again, is that I think it will shake up the industry. I think the product will be unique enough and the experience will be pretty good that it's going to put some pressure on the other cruise lines. Now, I don't think things are going to go perfectly. I think there certainly will be some hiccups. I would imagine you and I would have hiccups too if we tried to start a brand new cruise line. That's a pretty complex business to start. But I do think the product they're putting together is really neat. I personally want to try it out, and I think it's going to be pretty impressive, and I think it's going to present a new challenge for Royal, Carnival, and Norwegian to deal with in 2020. Number 3, when we talk about tourism, we don't traditionally talk about space, but space tourism is on the frontier. It's going to be coming pretty soon, but my prediction is it does not arrive in 2020. I do think we maybe see our first space tourist in 2021, but I don't think it's going to happen in 2020, although I wish it would. Space is just a tough place to operate. It's kind of the furthest frontier. And whether you're trying to be a player in the space tourism game or you're trying to execute on a government contract to deliver stuff to the space station, it's just tough. Virgin Galactic had an accident a couple years ago. I think someone got killed. SpaceX just blew up one of their crew capsules, I think, the other day, and they've had a number of issues, mainly early in their history. Boeing just launched their first crew capsule to space, I think this week, and found out that it didn't reach the intended orbit and brought it back down, and it never even rendezvoused with the space station at all. Space is just a tough place to operate. And I think if you had asked Virgin Galactic or others in early 2019 if we would have space tourism in 2020, I think they would have said yes, 10 or 11 months ago. But I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think we're going to see that take off in 2021. And I'm sorry for the bad puns if I just made a bunch of bad puns when talking about space. They just came out. Prediction number 4. I think we will see increased conversation about pricing transparency in travel. I've talked about resort fees before, I think, on this channel. Everybody hates them. They're terrible. But the good thing is there was conversation about that in 2019. And I think that will continue. Maybe resort fees will even go away. And I hope that the pricing transparency conversation extends beyond resort fees. A couple years ago, it was focused on airlines and making sure airlines provided clear and transparent pricing kind of online, and that you didn't whip your credit card out, only found out at the last minute that the price went up 20% because they added taxes and fees. There's been pressure on airlines in the past to provide more final pricing kind of early on in the booking process when you're searching on an airline's website. And I think that is a good thing. We've had a lot of conversation this year about resort fees, and I think that's a good thing. And I think it will continue in 2020. The one area I'm hoping to have another conversation about is rental car pricing. No one talks about it, but I think it's really confusing. I'm kind of a travel expert, I guess, in some respects. I'm not an industry expert. I'm not an expert to other people, but I feel like I know a lot about travel, and I do not understand how rental cars are priced, whether I should buy insurance, what I should do, is this a good deal or a bad deal. I think it's just really gray and opaque, and I think it's not good. So I think there will continue to be conversation about resort fees. Hopefully they'll go away in 2020, and I hope and pray there'll be conversation about some other areas of travel as well. Prediction number 5. I think 2020 will be a make or break year for one or two different companies who operate in the travel or the travel adjacent space. I think it could be Boeing, I think it could be Uber, or maybe even Airbnb. Boeing has had a number of issues with the 737 MAX. I wish I had filmed this video a couple of days ago because I woke up this morning to find out Boeing had fired their CEO. So maybe 2019 is their make or break year, not 2020. But Boeing is facing a ton of pressure, kind of both from airlines and the regulators, and it is not going well for them so far. I think 2020 will really be a make or break year for Boeing. I think 2020 could be a make or break year for Uber as well. They have a ton of perception issues. I'm not sure the customers really trust them. They just reported a month or so ago that they've received thousands of reports of assaults against their passengers or from their passengers. So there's just a lot of challenges, and they've not always done a good job reacting to those. I'm also not sure their business model really works. Uber is still subsidizing, I believe, every single ride that they offer. So when you pay your $5, $10, or $20, or $50, Uber is actually adding to that, because the model just doesn't quite work. I think they've just struggled to kind of make it all work, and I don't think they're particularly making money either. So I think 2020 will be a make or break year for Uber for a number of reasons. And I think it could be a make or break year for Airbnb as well. The main reason I say that is because Airbnb has said at least they want to go public in 2020. And going public just hasn't been a pleasant experience for a number of big kind of tech or lifestyle companies recently. Uber's IPO went pretty poorly, as did Lyft, Peloton. There's just been a number of companies recently that have gone public or tried to go public. WeWork tried to go, and then they withdrew their IPO, I think, because of pressure on them and their accounting. It turned into a big scandal, and it may turn into the downfall of WeWork. With an IPO comes a lot of pressure, a lot of challenges, and if Airbnb tries to do that, I'm not sure it's going to go particularly well. Not because of any issues with Airbnb necessarily, but because that's just kind of a risk you take when going public. You just face a ton of more pressure. People are diving into the details, trying to figure out whether you're in a profitable business or not. And it just leads to a lot of challenges. So we'll see how it goes for Airbnb. Prediction number 6. Prediction number 6. I think hotel companies will continue to invest kind of in new and unique experiences, but I think their core business offering will continue to be pretty boring. If we look at Marriott, for example, in 2019, they launched their home sharing business, or at least launched homes and villas. which is kind of their version of home sharing. Marriott also announced that they're going to invest more in all-inclusive properties, and they're building a big property or community down in Mexico that will have a number of all-inclusive resorts. And then a couple of years ago, we saw Kimpton, the Kimpton hotel chain, which is a small boutique chain, get purchased by IHG. So I think hotels understand they need to be more diverse and more exciting, and they're doing so by kind of investing new money or buying new companies. But it seems like they don't really want to change their core offering. For every cool all-inclusive property or every Kimpton, there's 1,000 Sheratons or there's 1,000 Airport Westins. And they're great and they serve a purpose and they help business travelers, which I think is a big part of it. But it's just boring. Just like airlines, they're not really providing us loyal travelers more in value. They're kind of slowly reducing what they give you. I think hotel chains will continue to invest in these new fun experiences, either buy new companies or starting kind of new product lines. But I think their core business will unfortunately remain pretty stale. And 7, this one may sound kind of weird, but I think travel agents or travel agencies will begin to make a comeback. There's kind of 2 reasons I say that. One, I think people are seeking kind of more personalized or unique experiences, and sometimes you require some help from someone to book such an experience. Whether that's wellness or going to a far-flung country or going to a country where you maybe can't get access to without booking through a travel agency or a tour operator. I think some of the desires and needs and wants of the travelers requires a little bit more expertise, and I think travel agencies or travel agents kind of may start to come back. The second reason I say that is because there are actually some travel agencies popping up in certain places that are kind of popping up as social or community hubs. There's one built in Austin that is a travel agency, but it's also kind of like a social or community hub, almost like a coffee shop or a beer garden, for example, where people kind of hang out and socialize, but they also offer travel agency services. Back in the day, I guess, if you wanted to use a travel agent, you had to call one up in the Yellow Pages or go to the strip mall down the street and find the nearest AAA travel. Again, those times have kind of passed, but I think if travel agencies come back kind of with a new or unique business model, they may start to become popular again. And I kind of hope they do. I think that's kind of a cool idea. I think if travel agencies can operate more in terms of someone who can help you get access to a new or unique experience that you couldn't access otherwise, that's great. And I think they may make a comeback. We'll see though. I don't know. I saved that one for last because I feel like it is a little bit out there. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed these 7 predictions. Again, I'm not a travel industry expert. I don't work in that space or anything. But I thought it'd be fun to just think about 7 things that may happen in 2020 and maybe we'll revisit them at the end of 2020. But if I go over 7, we're just going to pretend like this didn't happen. Most importantly, I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and I hope you have a great 2020. As usual, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ExploreInformed. And you can visit us on the internet at ExploreInformed.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.